Hey there, Daryl Ballard here, and it's time for another video. If you're watching this video, you were probably searching on YouTube or online for information about solo ads or about Udimi, and this is specifically about the warnings, problems that you can have with solo ads and with Udimi, ways to use solo ads successfully and not get into trouble. Or maybe you're a subscriber to my channel and you're watching this, whatever. That's going to be our topic today, and I think you'll find some good information here. It's probably Udimi I think of as one of the easiest ways to get traffic quickly to your site. And so that's what we're going to talk about, is how you can do that, how to avoid the major pitfalls and that sort of thing. So let's get started with the video. All right, so as I mentioned, we are talking about solo ads, and one of the easiest sources for solo ads that I find is Udimi. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that and some warnings about some of the ways that you can have trouble with that, one that I have personally experienced, and how to be successful using solo ads. You'll see several suggestions not to use solo ads, but I think most of that is warnings about specific things that make solo ads not work, but they can be very successful. They may not be the absolute best source of traffic there is, but I think it's the easiest thing to get quick traffic. You can spend several weeks, several months getting enough people to your YouTube channel, for instance, before you have it seasoned so that people are coming. Solo ads can happen very quickly. You just have to make sure that you don't get taken in the process. All right, so let's go ahead and look at the Udimi site. This is let me shrink this down a little bit here so that you can see the site here. This is my Udimi site, and the first thing you want to do is to look for sellers. And you see up here, this is where you start after you've made yourself an account, and the account is completely free. In fact, I'll have a link below so that you can set up an account very easily and get started using solo ads. All right, so you go to find sellers, and this is filters up here. And I don't think you need to worry too much about most of them, but the really important ones, this is how quickly you want things to start. I just leave that as 48 hours. Minimum number of visitors, you can buy 50. I usually buy 100 if I'm thinking small, and we'll talk about small in a little bit. The price you want to pay for them, this is the maximum price. I usually just leave that at 95 cents. I think that's the default. You can go a little higher. Some think that the absolute best level is about $1, $1.20. I haven't even gone that high yet. Top tier countries, that's an important one. We'll talk a little more about that, but I would just leave that as it is. The really important ones are over here. Verified ratings, and let's look at what you could choose here. You can choose, this is how many times the person has gotten the seller has gotten a positive rating. You can leave that at 0 so you can see everybody. It is nice to know that they've gotten some positive ratings. We'll show you how to look at that. I'm just going to leave it at 0 for now. If they've gotten 0, you may choose not to use them, but at least you've got somebody on the list. We'll talk about it. There may be some other important things to look at. This is a really important one right here, the ratings with sales. So this is somebody has purchased solo ads from one of the sellers, and this is the percentage of people who say they got an immediate sale from it, or initial sale. You may continue to get sales as you do your follow-up with emails and that sort of thing, and that's good, that's important, but this is the initial sales. I've seen people who recommend that you set this clear up to 40. You won't get very many choices if you set it clear up to 40. I recommend putting it at 20, and obviously the ones that are higher, that's an important thing, but set that at 20. All languages, all countries, those are fine, or you can set that to English if you want, but the top tier, as we're going to talk about later, will take care of that. So let's just do all countries and all languages. Okay, so now you have a list of people that are all over the 20% in sales. All right, and that's this number right here. Okay, here's one that has 59%. Okay, there's one with 53. Lots of good choices there. All right, now let's just choose one of these and say we want to work with them. So let's just start with the top one right there. One of the important things that you can do is enter the name of this person into Google and find out if they have any other presence on the internet. Let's just do that with this one here. Let's copy his name, if this will let me copy it. Let's copy it here. Okay. And then let's enter his name, or enter that name in Google and search and see if he has some other presence online. And you see he does. I happen to know that this person does. So let's go to his, you saw that he was on Udimi too, but he actually has a website and he sells solo ads separately from on Udimi. Okay, now this is important for several reasons. You can ask him questions here. There are ways that you can talk to them on Udimi as well, but if you find out that they are a real person, that they have, sell online other ways, that's important too. And you may find, when you look at their orders, you may find that they sell them for less than they sell them on Udimi. All right, so that's an important thing. Let's look at, I want to go back to Udimi before I do this, but let's look at some questions that it could be important to ask them. Now, the nice thing about Udimi is some of these things are handled by them, but let's look at some questions. You can certainly copy your screen on this or write these questions down, because these are important things to ask. Okay, how many new subscribers do they generate daily? That has to do with how fresh their list is. It also has to do with how often you can go back and get leads from them, because you may use the same ad for several weeks, several months, even a year if it continues to work. It's important to know if they're putting new people on their list all the time, daily, how fresh it is. You can also ask them if they've mailed a particular offer, capture page, or sales video in the last 30 days and what the results would be. Those are great questions to ask them. And then, is the list that they have, is it top tier? Or are most of them from the English-speaking countries, places that are, most of the people are more likely to have a credit card, that sort of thing. We get a better response from these 5 countries here than anywhere else. So top tier is important. And then you can also ask them if they can give you a deal. You might mention that you want to, you're testing, you're trying to find some good sources for solo ads, good sellers, and they're business people. They want to make money, so they may be willing to make you a deal. But let's say you just really want to keep it simple. It doesn't hurt to ask these questions, but you want to start out slow with Udimi. Another thing that you might find, I think his smallest offer on his website is 500 ads, and it's going to cost you 300. You may want to start smaller than that. And again, we'll talk about that more in a minute. But let's go back and look at Udimi again. Sorry, my computer is taking its time to get there. All right, so we've found a seller. Now let's say we've chosen to go with Maurizio Pace here, and this is the process of putting in an ad. He says 90% top tier that he guarantees. That's a good number. 10 to 20% over delivery. A lot of these will give you a few more just to make sure you're getting good things. He even answers a lot of these questions. 300 to 500 new fresh subscribers added daily. Targeted, free, professional. He'll do the copy for you, although I don't recommend that. I think you should do your own copy. So after you have decided that you want to choose that person, and again, I'm not recommending people, you do your own research. It's very important. If a lot of people saw this video and we're all using the same source, especially if we're in similar businesses and doing the same type of ads, we're going to make things not work as well. So I recommend you find your own, become your own entrepreneur, write your own copy, make your own landing pages, that sort of thing, so that you're setting yourself apart from the crowd. So down here you can choose your number of visitors, and you can type in your title for your ad and your email that's going to go out here. All right, so that's how you do all that. I'm not going to go through. It's not that hard. You've probably done things like this before. If you're doing any marketing, you can also mark down here, give the seller the option to start earlier if you've set a time, that sort of thing, if you want to do that, or you can unclick that if you don't. All right, so that's a quick overview of using Udimi. And again, I think it's the easiest way to go. And Udimi, of course, does some checking. You're going to find higher quality than if you just go to Facebook and search for groups and that sort of thing. And I've seen several recommending not to do that anymore. That used to be a good way to find out who was a good solo ad seller. But using a source like this, at least initially, to find them, then finding them online if you want to, and maybe getting it cheaper, especially when you scale up and you're using larger numbers, I think is a good thing to do. Early on, you may want to use a source just like Udimi, which you may pay a little more for, but you can go with smaller numbers, and you're letting Udimi help you some with your quality control and that sort of thing. All right, now let's go to some successful, or some keys to make your solo ad successful. Just going to do 5 things here that, and some of them I've already mentioned. Number 1, find a seller with 20% or above initial sales rate. I think that's extremely important. I wouldn't go with anyone below 20% unless you want to test someone with a fairly small amount that's new and may have a new list that not too many people have been to before. No harm in doing that once you're successful, but especially when you're starting out, I think it's really important to use the tried and true. You're going to get pretty good results. Even if you get 20% click rate to start with, you're getting a few people to your site. Find a seller who offers 85% or more. You saw that one we looked at had 90% or more. Tier 1 clicks. Tier 1 or top tier is from those countries that you're going to get the best success rate from. Start small and test. Now, I mentioned this before, and the big reason for doing this, and this is the warning that we started out with. I got 100 clicks or 200 clicks, I can't remember, from a seller. Don't even remember who it was. It doesn't matter. I don't even know for sure if I knew at the time. I wasn't tracking as well as possible, or as well as I should have been. But when I put those clicks that came through into my autoresponder, I found that they wouldn't accept them because I'm not sure whether they were something that just came from bots and weren't real, but they said there were duplicates from a lot of people putting the same thing in, and for this particular autoresponder at least, they wouldn't accept it. I did find another autoresponder that would take them and was able to put them in, but got very little response from it. Now this is before I had everything set up, so some of it may have been my systems and that sort of thing, but you can get taken fairly easily. So start small with something that you can afford to lose. Not that all of them are bad. There's lots of good sellers out there, but start small and test and make sure you're getting good results from that, and then you can get larger later on, which is actually our next 2 points. Track each seller, track the clicks, make sure that you're getting a good number of click-throughs, that you're getting some engagements from those. If you don't know exactly what all that means, check out my video. I'll have it linked below, but check out my video on ClickMagick, which is what I use to track. Extremely important to track things so that you know what was successful and what was not. Otherwise, you may be throwing your money away. That's a big theme here. We don't want you throwing your money away. We want your business to be successful. And then once you know that you've got a good seller, now you can scale up. You can slowly increase the amount that you're doing. You can look for them, on their regular online, on their web page, rather than Udimi. You may find that you can get your leads cheaper there. Scale up to where you're doing 500 or maybe 1,000. The important thing about that is you're going to need several of these. Find several of these sellers so that you can rotate through them, and maybe every month or every 2 months, use that seller again, and have a successful business that way. All right, and of course, scaling up is the important thing. When you find something that works, that makes you even a little bit of money, you're on your way, because you can obviously increase that to make even more money. All right, so that's our 5 keys to having success with solo ads and Udimi. Some of the pitfalls that you need to stay away from. And so now, what do you need to do? All right, if you're trying to get traffic to your new offer that you're working on, what you need to do is find sources of traffic. You need to use solo ads. That will happen quick. You probably should be working on your YouTube channel. We'll talk more about that in a coming video. But solo ads is a quick way to get started. Make sure you don't start any of this, spend any money until you have your systems set up. Okay, your systems, your automated system for your funnel, bringing people into your business to see your offer and that sort of thing in an effective manner. All right, I did that. That's another pitfall. I did that in the past, put a whole bunch of solo ads in because I thought that I had things set up. Didn't have things set up quite like I should have. And I've got a, not huge list, but I've got a little bit of a list now, but I don't have anywhere to send them because I don't have all my emails up and running and that sort of thing. If you don't know how to do those sorts of things, then you probably haven't seen my 4-day, the 4 most critical steps to having a successful online business. The very first link below will be how you can get that. It's free, lots of good information in there. Check that out, and we'll be happy to get you started. But make sure you do those things. The last one is traffic. Even talks a little bit about Udimi and solo ads, that sort of thing. But you need all of those things set up before you're sending traffic. Sending traffic to nowhere doesn't do you a whole lot of good. Also, you'll find a link. The second link below is the link for Udimi that you can go to and start to send traffic to your funnel. And you'll see some other links below for helpful tools that I use to make my business successful. I hope that helps. I think you'll find this really good information. It really has made all the difference for me to have the funnel set up the way I present in the 4-day online training, and using the tools that I use for tracking. And so thanks for joining me. Again, hope this was helpful. If it was, definitely subscribe to my channel, hit the like button below, and we'll be able to put more good content up for you so that you can have a successful business and have the peaceful life that you want. Thank you very much. This is Daryl Ballard, and see you next time.